Hello, I am Cyril Müller. I'm the Vice President for External Affairs at the World Bank. I'm here this week. We have opened up the spring meetings with social media and your questions. Very pleased to have with me Kristalina Georgieva, who is the European Commissioner for International Cooperations, Humanitarian Aid and Crisis Response. She's also a former colleague.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Cyril.
I have questions for you, 5 questions. The first one from the United States. And it is about, after the food, fuel, and financial crisis, the world really needs to look hard at how resilience can be strengthened in the world. What would be your 5 key things you would recommend to governments to basically help building that resilience and also to help with food security?
First, recognize that the world has changed. We now live with more frequent and more damaging disasters, and there are more of us. We have more wealth, so when a disaster hits, more people die, more damage occurs. So for this world, we have to invest heavily in resilience across everything we do. $1 in resilience, $4 to $7 in return. Second, that's very impressive. Second, we have to have early warning systems, actually not only for natural disasters, also in the financial world, to alert us and go deal down to communities so we know that something is coming, we are ready for it. 3, preposition stocks. In my world, in the humanitarian world, the food, the tents, the water, the medical supplies, they have to be at easy distance to areas that are likely to be hammered by disasters. 4, target the most vulnerable. Kids under 5, elderly, handicapped, know where they are, be able to get to them. And last but not least, work together. No country is rich enough to handle this new world on its own. Cooperate.
Very impressive. I think many people will listen to us. I have a second question, which is related to actually when a disaster happens. One of the main challenges very often is to getting quick and sustained access to those that are affected. Do you have any ideas about that, or creative solutions?
Well, let me share 2. One is use of new technology. I was in Chad recently where we give cell phones to women. And with these cell phones, they can access cash that we provide through the telecom operators. These women sleep with the cell phones. They're so important for them. But new technology allows us to reach out to difficult to reach places where there is no infrastructure. Secondly, people in place. We actually today work with 200 partner organizations from the UN, from the NGO community. We have half of my own staff in tough places. Why? Because you need to know what is happening. These are your eyes and ears, but this is also your quick delivery a mechanism connected to local communities. And fundamentally also link with local leaders, like in Somalia, Al-Shabaab controlled areas. Yet we were able to help. Why? Because the local leaders trust us. We have been there for a long time. Your connection to people is your best security.
Proximity and readiness and access, very interesting. That leads me to the third question. It comes from an agriculture student in India who wants to know how you see the impact of climate change on food and nutrition.
It's devastating. What we face already is climate change is a reality for many, many countries, for millions and millions of people. And the way it affects people is more than anything else, either not enough water or too much water. Yes. And of course, for this you need to work on 2 things, on drought resilience, flood resilience, seeds, but also on the markets, on the ability of goods to move freely. Remember when there were forest fires in Russia?
Yes.
Russia stopped exporting wheat. We have to prevent this from happening. But the critical issue is, this is the new world we live in. Be ready for it.
Yes. In that, many of the questions we've been receiving, and it is no surprise, always question the effectiveness of aid. And you've given already very good examples on how basically we are changing the way we can deliver this assistance. But have you any additional thoughts on how to improve the effectiveness of humanitarian assistance?
You know, many thoughts, but I will focus on one. Anticipate problems, act early. And I'll give you one example. This is called upper arm measurement. What it does is to help us identify whether a child from 9 months to 59 months is at risk of malnutrition.
Wow.
And what it does is the green, good, no problem. These 2 centimeters are the distance between life and death for a kid. So we have to be there, here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because here it costs 10 euros to help this kid. Here it is 100 euros, no guarantee that you would save it. So be able to anticipate and act preemptively.
And simply,
to save, and simply.
It's amazing.
And simply.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Finally, Kristalina, you're here at the World Bank as well. How do we better link up humanitarian assistance and long-term development programs?
2 worlds, a world apart sometimes. They have to come together. From the humanitarian side, we need to recognize to save a life, this life must be worth living. And I'll give you one example of what we can do. In Europe, we made a decision to no more provide food to people from Europe, but to use cash and vouchers to stimulate local purchase. Only when local markets and regional markets don't work, then bring your agricultural surpluses. And of course, what it means is you don't end up saving lives and killing the local farmers. Similarly, the development guys, they need to be there early.
Right.
We cannot have a situation when we leave and they're not there yet.
Yes. Thank you very much, Kristalina. This has been a real pleasure and honor to speak with you today here at the World Bank. And I thank you all for joining us today at World Bank Live.